All right, it is 5 p.m. So I will call us to order and welcome everybody to a regular session of the El Segundo Unified School Board meeting on February 9th, 2021. And we'll go ahead and start tonight with the Pledge of Allegiance led by Member Wagner. The rest of you can mute yourself. Thanks.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you, Mike. And now let me get us back in grid layout so I can see everybody who's here. Report of action taken in closed session. There was none today, so nothing to report out. Item 3B, agenda hearing period, public communications. As to the agenda, I would like to mention one change for sure, and that is our Ed Foundation will not be in attendance to report out tonight, so we'll remove item 4B from the agenda, if everybody's all right with that. We have consensus, that's okay from everybody? I think, yeah. Okay, great. And then also noted that Benny Villa, our student representative, may be signing in late, so we will go ahead and postpone his item until later in the meeting and see when he can come in and join us for that. So if I forget to circle back to him, anybody in this group, please remind me when you think it's appropriate, just in case. Okay, sometimes I get rolling and then, you know. Okay, with that, that takes us all the way to item 4C, a presentation on reinstating the Eagles Nest Preschool for the 2021-2022 school year. And I'll ask if Dr. Moore is going to introduce, or perhaps Ms. Krolf is just going to jump in.
Yes, at this time I'd like to, with pleasure, introduce our Executive Director of both the Preschool and Child Care, Guadalupe Grijalva. And Miss Guadalupe has really been a hero throughout this pandemic because obviously both our Eagles Nest and our Learning Connection program were for-fee programs. And so when we were initially told to close, we had to work within what does this all mean for our schools, for our services that we're providing our families. And so I'm very pleased that Eagles Nest through Eaglet Care, and then also the Learning Connection were our first programs to reopen. And that happened in August under the leadership of Miss Guadalupe. So welcome, Miss Guadalupe. We are happy to see your smiling face this evening, and I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, members of the board, Superintendent Moore and Zarnicki. Thank you for having me today, and I'm very happy to be speaking to you today about our reopening plan for Eagles Nest for the fall school year of our new year, 21-22. Can I have the next slide, please? Mr. Gavna, can I have the next slide?
I think Guadalupe's freezing. Or she was really still for a while.
I'm sensing technical difficulties here, so everybody please stand by while we try to resolve that. We'll give it a few minutes, well, hopefully less.
Miss Guadalupe, we can see you, but we can't hear you. Perhaps turn off your video, and then maybe we'll be able to hear your audio.
Just saw Benny's here. Maybe Benny can.
If that's not too unsettling for Danny or Miss Guadalupe, who I actually don't see her
Okay,
logged in
I'm
at
on the second slide. Can you hear
Oh,
me?
she is there. She is there. Okay. Sorry,
We can
Guadalupe,
see
we
you.
lost you.
We can see and hear you now.
We're good. We'll continue with you.
Sorry. Okay, so let's begin with the guidelines and the purpose. So early childhood programs as well as childcare programs have been designated as essential services and are required to follow federal, state, and county health orders for reopening. So we will continue with those guidelines as we have at the Learning Connection to welcome families into the childcare program. We will also thankfully be able to utilize the great wealth of knowledge that we've received through working at the school district as we have reopened the hybrid school and in-person programs to support our little 3 and 4-year-olds from the community coming back to the preschool. Can I have the next slide, please? So the reopening plan consists of several things. These are consistent requirements that we've had throughout the elementary school as well as the Learning Connection, which includes stable cohorts. As of January 29th, we have increased the number that we can have to be 14 students to 2 staff. So we are looking to plan for AM and PM sessions. We actually started the preschool under this program in the beginning, and we were working every year to get towards longer days. And now we're back to where we started. So we're going to plan to do 2 sessions, a morning 3-hour session and a PM 3-hour session in the afternoon. But we do also want to continue with offering a full day 8-hour program for families who have a need for longer childcare. We will support physical distancing with the preschool students through our staff. It has proven to be not that difficult. They just need a lot of reminding in terms of having visual things like hula hoops that help you designate where your personal space is, stickers on the floor, X's where you can sit at the lunch table. So those little physical visual reminders have proven to be really good with helping kids with the distancing. So those are some of the skills that we will bring into the preschool. Symptom monitoring, as we've been doing with all of the students that are coming on site at drop-off and during the preschool session, just making sure that everyone's feeling well, everyone is coming in well, and everyone is going back home feeling well. Face coverings as required by the child care guidelines. Everyone 3 and up will have a face mask, and our program will take 3 and 4-year-olds, so everyone will be required to have a face mask. Mr. Ali will also provide us with site logo little masks that will be appropriate to the size of the little younger kids that we'll have at the preschool, which will be nice because then it'll also be like an Eagle's Nest mask that they get to wear to the preschool. Cleaning and sanitation, we're going to implement the everybody cleans approach as we have at all of our school sites. We will have custodial support and myself for the outside, and then the teachers will have the supplies to do the cleaning for high touch spaces and areas inside of their classroom. The drop-off and pickup procedure will be similar to what we have at the Learning Connection, in that we'll be offering a car valet so that parents don't have to come out, they can drop off. We'll sign everyone in and out, but we also want to give parents the opportunity to walk to school because some of them live very close and they might be on the way to an elementary school so that they can walk to school together. But again, we'll have those floor markers to make sure that everyone stays distant as we're checking them in. And the same for when they're waiting for us to return their kids at the end of the sessions. Next slide, please. So consideration that will be different for this school year is that we will have reduced session hours. Again, we were moving towards having 4, 5, 8-hour sessions, and now just to be able to offer consistency, we're going to have only 5 days available. We used to have kids that could come in 3 days or 2 days or 5 days, but other preschools in the area are doing the same thing, that they're only offering half day or full day, and they're only offering 5-day enrollment. So then we don't have that much exposure of different groups coming in and having contact with the teachers as well as having contact with each other. The more consistent, the more stable we can stay, the safer that we'll all be. Reduced student cohort numbers. So again, they just upped it from 12 to 14. So that means 2 more students per class, but we won't be able to be at the 24 that we were previous to the pandemic. So our group size will be a little smaller, but we'll have more than we would have had before January 29th when the new health order came out. And between now and August, many things could change, hopefully for the better. So we are going to stay up to date on all of those changes and stay flexible to meeting those guidelines as we continue to enroll in the fall. We will have to do revised routines in that we won't be able to have some of the activities that we used to have, like the big circle time in the morning where everyone sits next to each other and passes a little toy and talks to each other. You know, we'll have to modify those routines to still offer the same experience, but offer it in a different way. We're going to increase hand washing. So every time you come in and out of a classroom, you're washing hands or sanitizing your hands. And then we're going to have individual supplies for each student. So whereas before we used to have the big art table where everyone could share markers and scissors and glue sticks, now everyone's going to have their own little box that'll be labeled with all of their items. Unfortunately, we're also going to have to limit parents on campus, which used to be one of the big things parents liked, was coming in and sitting with the other parents of their classroom and just kind of touching base with how everything's going. So unfortunately, we're still not allowed to have parents on campus, so we're not going to be able to do that. But we do want to be able to create site videos so that parents can have a look inside, which is similar to what we did at the Learning Connection, where we showed them what our classroom spaces look like, what the outside spaces look like, and we shared a video of the expectation for the drop-off so that they have a visual and they can also share with their family about what the expectation is. I know it is difficult because we're so used to being so touchy-feely and comfortable and nurturing at the preschool. We just have to change it a little bit so that we can still have it still be safe for us. And enhanced outdoor space for all of our meals. We have one patio area outside of our classroom number 3 that I'm working with Mr. Ali, our Director of Maintenance and Operation, to have enhanced so that we can have some shade, and then see if we can create a second space so that we can have increased areas for classrooms to come and do their meals, because we want to be able to do all our meals outside so that the students can be in the fresh air as they're having their snacks. Next slide, please. Ms. Denise and I have really done a great job at getting very good at orienting and training staff as they're coming in for the new guidelines, because we've had to do it several times for the TLC staff. On top of that, we also have the resources of Mr. Ali and all of his equipment vendors that have always been very willing to come in and talk to staff. And I think it's important for staff to hear from not just Ms. Denise and I, but then other people who are like, this is actually a training of this person who makes this equipment and this is how we're going to use it. We've also had Nurse Roxanne Volmer come and talk to us and really answer the questions that we all have about how can I keep myself safe at work. And her health aid staff have also been very wonderful in consulting with us. If we have a question, if there's something we're wondering about, we can send her a text or we can give her a phone call. So having her as a resource has been very wonderful. So we will extend that support to the preschool teachers as well. Like I said, Mr. Ali and his vendors will be supporting us with training on cleaning and disinfecting and what's the difference between cleaning, disinfecting, sanitizing, when do you do what, to make sure that the classrooms are safe and the students are safe. Daily self-monitoring for COVID-19 symptoms. So all of the teachers will have the same boxes that the elementary teachers got and the TLC teachers received, that has the thermometer and your face shield and sanitizing spray and wipes and all these other things for you to use within your classroom to help to keep you safe, as well as the Beach Cities app that everyone should be using before they leave their house to make sure that it's okay to come to work. We do want to continue to maintain our curriculum and assessment rigor, so we will continue to use the creative curriculum because we made a big investment in bringing that to the preschool and bringing that to the teachers and offering those assessment tools for students so that parents know that the children are ready to go into TK or kindergarten when they leave Eagles Nest Preschool. and then supporting families as we transition into the preschool. So as before, we used to be able to have big orientations where everyone could come into the class, and then we had a student visiting day where they could come and look at the playground and their classrooms. Now we're going to have to do some of those things on Zoom. We're going to, like I said, create that site video, that ballet video. For me, it's been very important at the Learning Connection to send all of the parents a first day photo, just because they get to see what their student is like, if they're orienting, if they're fine. As a parent, I understand that agony of, I just left my child and I don't know what the heck is happening in there. And I want to trust that everything's going to be okay and safe, but just a photo means so much. So being able to communicate these little things to parents who, are going to be a little anxious and nervous about bringing their students, hopefully, that trust that we've always had with parents, that partnership that we've always had with parents will just be increased as we work together to bring students back to Eagles Nest. Teachers' contact information has always been available to the parents so that they can call or email, and now they can Zoom if they need to have a quick chat with somebody. And hopefully we look forward to having parent meetings again through Zoom. So several of our IAs are currently working at the different school sites as supports, so we will be happy to bring them back to the preschool. Miss Alicia Miller has a preschool cohort at Center Street, so she has a group of under 10 students who is at Center Street doing Eaglet Care as a full day, 8-hour, 8 to 4 p.m. Cohort, which is working out very nicely for her. And she said, I talked to her last week, she said she's never been closer to any group she's ever had, just because there's so much communication and trust that needs to go through now. So it's very nice to hear that from her families and for herself. And Ms. Chayana is working at Richmond with me for support of 2 TLC cohorts. So a lot of our staff already has some knowledge and some understanding of how it's different to be in school now. So we look forward to having them as resources as we return staff to the preschool, so that then we can help orient all of the new staff that'll be coming in. Can I have the next slide, please? Operation support for reopening. Mr. Ali is just a rock star. I could not say enough good things about him, just because he's been wonderful, wonderful at anything that we've needed or asked, whether it's more gloves, whether it's this thermometer, just finally broke down since August. Can we have a new one? He has been amazing at supporting us with all of that. So having all of these things to support us in the preschool has been amazing too. So again, ensuring classroom environments are appropriately spaced. Securing, disinfecting, and sanitizing equipment. And talking to him last week, he was telling me now that there's specific equipment for preschools, and he's working on securing some of those things for us in the fall, which of course I had no idea about, but he knows everything about equipment now. So it's great to have him as a resource. We're also going to have an assigned dedicated custodian for the preschool, which again will help us maintain the safety of the playgrounds as the cohorts come and go, making sure that those high contact areas are safe for us as we come and go, and heating up the restrooms as the classrooms come and go to them. As well as installing a mobile hand washing station for our playground, which of course is going to have to be cut down as it was at Richmond TK and Kinder, just so our little kiddos can reach that height. And then establishing a cleaning and sanitation schedule that works for all of the classrooms as they're coming and going. We've sat in on some of the vendor meetings that Mr. Ali has had with Richmond, and so some of that teacher feedback of, how long does a classroom need to be empty before the next cohort can come. So all of those lessons have been really important now to take into planning as we want to bring back and reopen Eagles Preschool. Next slide, please. So we are very excited to return to the preschool. Numerous emails from parents. This is usually the time that we're releasing our application for enrollment in the fall. So everything's been delayed a little bit because of COVID-19, but I've been reassuring everybody, like, we're presenting to the board. They're gonna take into consideration everything that we know to keep everyone safe and be able to return everyone in the fall. Our staff are all eager to return back to their normalcy, to return back to the preschool and work with their age group and their classrooms with their teams. And I'm looking forward to supporting our special education students as we bring back the preschool for in-learning sessions. So the last slide is our next steps. Tonight we have up for your approval the preschool fees for 21-22, where we did a rate study of the local schools in the area. After that, then I will be communicating with all the preschool families about enrollment and bringing them into the sessions that we have planned. If for any reason we don't have an interest in that 8-hour session, then we would break that up into an AM PM. But I hope that we'll be able to meet some of our families needs that do need a longer day to be able to enroll in that one classroom. That'll be the full day classroom. And it will be a mix of 3- and 4-year-olds so that we can meet that classroom ratio a little better. And then after that, we will also be looking at surveying parents to see if they would be interested in a summer camp. So normally between June and July, we offer a preschool summer camp that is combined with the extended school year for our special education students. And if there's interest to have that be offered this summer, then we look forward to coming back to you and presenting that as well. And that's it. If anyone has any questions.
Great. Thank you so much. I can go back to the grid view, then I can see if any board members are raising their hands. Any questions at this time? No? Okay.
I don't
Oh,
have a question,
Emily?
but I have heard from some parents, and I just, I want to put it out there that, I will speak for myself, and I think the rest of the board can chime in. Eagle's Nest is a valuable part of our district. It is something that we think is invaluable. We are in no way looking at cutting the service. We are doing everything we can, as Guadalupe just spent time on how we're going to bring it back as soon as we can and the best practices. So there was a little thing going around somehow that maybe we were looking at cutting it. That is not the case. I've never even heard that before until I got a couple calls from parents. So please know that that is not happening. We are trying our best to get it open as soon as we can.
Yeah, and I will say we appreciated the recognition when pandemic first hit that preschool on Zoom is not a good idea. So I appreciate that now that we've had time to study safety practices and figure out what can work with these youngest kids well, that you're putting in a lot of work and thought and effort, as is your staff and our whole custodial team and all that, to make this happen. So we appreciate all that thinking to make this right for when we can open it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. If no other comments or questions, we will say thank you for now, and then we will revisit this item later as an action item, and I will have some public comment to read at that time. So, okay, then I think you are free to sign off, and I do believe Benny has joined us. So I'm going to see if he would like to be up next. We'll go back to his item 4A, and he can give us an update. Benny?
Sounds good. Thank you, everyone. Okay. So to begin, within these past 2 weeks, we have hosted our 4th ever virtual trivia night, which held last Thursday. We held the South Bay Promise Virtual College Workshop, virtual school play auditions for our Theory of Relativity play. Our biomed students participated in a sit-in meeting with a UCLA anesthesiologist, also last Thursday. We filmed and sent out our 8th grade back to school video, and our senior best voting opened and closed this past week. And finally, our Black Student Union hosted a Zoom forum today for students at 3 p.m. Our February Teacher of the Month is Fody DeBlantis, and our Students of the Month are freshman Taylor Vickerman, sophomore Taft Henry, junior Claudia Rowe, and senior Alex Farfan. And finally, which personally is my favorite part, our sports pods have returned, as well as our ASB seniors have returned to class every Tuesday and Thursday now to plan for seniors coming back. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Benny. Good to have you with us. All right. We will move on now to item 4D, an update on the return of hybrid students in 3rd through 5th grade. Dr. Moore, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, President Miller-Zarnicki, members of the board. The purpose of our presentation this evening is to provide the board an update as it relates to the new state document regarding school reopening, the projected new revision from Los Angeles County Department of Public Health, and the district's recommendation regarding returning 3rd through 5th grade hybrid students to school. So next slide. Really, since the beginning of the pandemic, we have learned a great deal both on the national and international level regarding the research in COVID-19, and increasingly demonstrates relatively low COVID-19 transmission rates in younger children. So this news has been very comforting. So the Department of Health in their document actually released has some science behind it that I know we have shared in previous board presentations that I believe is very helpful to parents who want to know. And so really, I know I get questions from parents sometimes about, well, why are we starting with the younger children? And we're starting with them because the research shows this is the safest place to start. And so all along, the board has taken a very phased and cautious and strategic viewpoint on this. And so that is why we started with the youngest students. So at this point in time, the Safer at Home order has expired, and Los Angeles County does remain in the purple tier, which is obviously significant widespread cases of COVID-19. School reopening rules have also changed because of this state document, and we are this is the third presentation I have given to the board where I have put information in the presentation, and this day after it's been posted, new information comes forward again. So I know we have used with our community, this is ever-evolving situation, and today is one more example of that ever-evolving situation. So I will try to share some of that information in this presentation, but stay tuned, more to follow. So this public health document is very helpful because it really provides additional clarity as to what is allowable for school districts to do. And although this is titled Public Health Guidance, if you open the document, it specifically says it is a health order, and therefore all school districts within the state of California are required to follow this guidance. Next page. So the most noteworthy changes that we see is, first of all, cohort maximum size. So the cohort size that the state has recommended is a maximum of 16 individuals. So previously you heard Ms. Guadalupe talk about the 12. So when we reopened TK through second grade, and certainly when we reopened the Learning Connection and Eaglet Care, our maximum was 12 students with 2 adults, and it needed to be only 2 cohorts of students that the adult could work with, and students could only be in 1 cohort. So this gives us some more flexibility, and this is especially important when we go to put secondary students in the mix as it relates to class size, because the hybrid model requires us to only work with half of the students in the room at any one time. It further clarifies what is permissible as it relates to reopening schools, and there's a new recommendation regarding face coverings that Mr. Ali Rabihi will touch on later. Next slide. So really our county and certainly our Board of Education has really looked to work with a phased approach in returning students to school. And this is really based on the research. It is based on the safety of our students and the safety of our staff. The current adjusted case rate in Los Angeles County presently, as of last Thursday, was 38.7. And the rates are continuing to decline. And so you're going to hear this case rate requirement a couple of times during this presentation, because this is a key piece of information related to the school district, any school district's ability to return 4th through 6th grade to on-campus services. When the county's adjusted case rate has gone below 25 cases per 100,000 for 5 consecutive days, all schools will have the opportunity to return to campus, grades TK through 6. So at this point, just in January, it's mind-blowing that we were 79. Case rates were very, very high in LA County, and that we have declined more than 40. And we continue to read about this decline. And hopefully people were responsible yesterday during Super Bowl. So I would anticipate, based on this information, based on what we've seen in the decline, within 1 to 2 weeks, I anticipate that we would hit the threshold necessary for TK through 6th grade to be able to reopen. Next slide, please. So, noteworthy changes. This is very important because I, on a regular basis, receive emails from our secondary folks and our parents. And obviously, we know that students are having a hard time. And I am very touched by many of your stories about how this is affecting your middle school child, your high school child. And I know our Board of Education cares deeply about this. That being said, the school district is required to follow the rules that are laid out in health orders. So specifically in the state document, which serves as the health order, it says grades 7 through 12 must be in the red tier to reopen. And this is required. It is not negotiable. It is not something that we can do anywhere else. So the county has to meet the threshold. Now, what does it mean to be in the red tier? The red tier is no longer widespread. It is substantial, and it has a case rate of 7 or below. So we're saying earlier, to reopen 4th, 5th, and 6th, we need to get to 25, below 25 for 5 consecutive days. And to reopen grades 7 through 12, we must get to a case rate of 7 per 100,000. So we will stay the course, and it will take everyone's collective efforts to get there. Next slide. So County Health has really shared with us over the last 2 weeks that it is their intent to align their numbers and their protocols to that is reflected in the state document. Last week on January 20, we received a revised health order on January 29th that indicated that cohort size had moved up from 12 students to now 14 students. So when Ms. Guadalupe did her presentation, you heard her make that reference. So that is one change that is forthcoming. However, just today, we did receive a draft of the Department of Public Health's new guidance as it relates to cohort size. And specifically, it indicates that they're going to provide more flexibility, and the size of the stable cohort is not going to be limited to a specific maximum number, but, and the key word is but, it is related to the available class space or the square footage of the classroom, because what they continue to recommend is 6 feet between students and staff, or no less than 4 feet. So you can use partitions, but the final requirement will be no less than 4 feet total. So that is a little confusing. And so it continues to kind of be an evolving situation. However, they did indicate in their document and in the email that they shared with superintendents that they anticipated this particular document would stay true until we get to the red tier. So the next alignment slide, please. So we're really seeing, you know, the cohorting size as a key and the changes that they're going to do. Also, obviously, I shared that 25 case rate per 100,000. And in addition, the threshold requirements and that no waiver program is going to be required or is available to any other school district. So if I'm a school district and I chose not to apply for a waiver and I wanted a waiver now, there are no waivers being granted anymore, and there are no waiver application processes. Now, what's important with that, and I think this is very important for our community to understand, when we reopened in December, it was truly a significant event in our county because Los Angeles County has not gotten to the red tier. We were the red tier 1 week in October. And so we never were able to declare that we were out of the red tier to the red tier because of the fact that you had to be in the red tier for consecutive weeks on an ongoing basis to actually move to that tier. So although the case rate was at that level, we were never able to declare that and thus never able to reopen those schools. So in addition, we really need to take a look at what will be necessary moving forward. So the next slide, please. What regulation allows our district to bring back third grade hybrid students? So some people might be saying, well, why can third grade come back now? Third grade can come back now because there is in the health order specialized services, and districts that have had a waiver granted, which Esusd was one of 5 that opened in December, may reopen to offer another grade level. And so it is my recommendation this evening that that would be the third grade, because the third grade keeps us below the 25% of the total enrollment. And this is done obviously with the caveat that it would be done safely and in keeping with all of the various health requirements that we've been doing successfully. The next slide. And then what triggers our ability to bring back 4th and 5th? Although I might want to bring back 4th and 5th, our board president might want to bring back 4th and 5th, we all have to wait for the case rate to come down. We are on the decline. We have the momentum. We can get there, but it will require the case rate to go to 25. And based on where we're at, it is likely that could be likely the first week in March. And at this time, I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Ali Rabihi, our Director of Maintenance and Operations, to give us an update on the new things in health and safety, as this is an ever-evolving situation as well. Mr. Rabihi.
Thank you, Dr. Moore, members of the board. Thank you for having me this evening. We'll go ahead and get started with our health and safety update. Next slide, please, Dr. Gowna. So the health screening update, I like to summarize that there's different aspects in COVID-19 mitigation measures. We have healthy hygiene as one, social or physical distancing as the other. Health screening is also a critical component in mitigating the spread of COVID-19. And to describe for you exactly what we've done with the health screening aspect, we've equipped our staff with those contactless thermometers and also front-loaded that with trainings on how to properly use those contactless thermometers. And we've also been utilizing the Beach Cities Health District app. I want to commend the Beach Cities Health District in concert with the LA County Children's Hospital in being at the forefront of all this and getting this app up and running when it was very much, we're in the infancy stages of the COVID-19 pandemic. There were some shortcomings, though, with this app that we noticed, and one of them notably was the questions were already pre-devised and established. We were unable to go in and actually alter those health screening questions as updates were coming to us from the California Department of Public Health as well as from the county. Parents would need to actually upload an app or go into their phone and create an app within their browser. So it created some technical difficulties there. And the lack of reliability or accountability. How would one know exactly if a parent or a family actually completed that app to completion or actually administered that app for their actual child? There was no linkages to truly make it as accurate as it should be. So maintenance and operations spend a great deal of time researching, and we've looked at many other platforms that are out there, and we came across this one, which will be on your board agenda later this evening, called RUVNA, or the RUVNA Health Platform. There are many advantages to this. Number one, it allows for those customizable questions So we can go in there working with our school district nurse, Roxanne Volmer, and adjust those questions accordingly, and even update those questions as the situation certainly evolves and we anticipate it evolving. It also directly links with our student information system, namely PowerSchool. In fact, our staff in the district will be working with the RUVNA Health folks in uploading that data into their system. What it then allows is for a parent to receive a text on their smartphone with a link, and they can just click on that link, answer a series of questions, and they have completed the health screening for that day. It then actually is mirrored on the administrators and the admin assistant side with a listing of exactly all the students that have completed that particular health screening. It also provides a QR code on the screen that can be scanned upon entry to the school. And for those families who have multiple children, one single link for all of the students. So it is perhaps, one would argue, the new and better way of actually collecting information and health screening. But the other advantage behind the RUVNA app is that it is expandable. This can be utilized across all different categories. So if we ever decided to throw in their non-COVID-19 related questions, we can certainly do that as well, academic-based questions or social emotional learning-based questions. So it is expandable, it is customizable, and very much important, it holds everybody accountable and is reliable as well. Next slide, please. This is essentially kind of a graphic of exactly how the RUVNA app, health app, or RUVNA platform, I should say, works. The survey is completed by the student or the parent. If the student is obviously sick or has met the threshold to stay home based on our questions and based on COVID-19 compliance, then they're instructed to either stay home or go home. The school then can verify that the survey or the questions, health screening questions, were completed upon arrival or drop-off at the school, namely either via the QR code or via the Excel spreadsheet that schools can generate. And of course, if verified, approved, they're allowed entry to come into school. If not, then obviously there's a requirement to go back and complete that survey right then and there. Another advantage behind all this is that it doesn't require anybody to download an app, go to the app store or any type of store on their smartphone to download anything. It goes straight to their web browser from the text messaging app that they have on their screen. So it is very much seamless. It is also very much tech-friendly as well. One of the greatest features of the RUVNA platform is that it also does provide for 24/7 tech support on the administrator side should there be any type of technical difficulties with the platform. Next slide, please. As Dr. Moore mentioned, there have been some updates. It's an evolving situation. And as the administrator for our district in charge of personal protective equipment, or PPEs, being the gatekeeper and the stockpile manager of all things masks, we have definitely seen an evolution of face coverings throughout this time. March 13th marks the 1-year anniversary of school closures across the country. And if you think back to March, there was a whole different philosophy behind mask wearing, face covering. And look at how far we have come. The California Department of Education has made it clear in their latest document that for any school staff individual who has routine contact with others, with the public, it is highly recommended that they wear a disposable 3-ply surgical mask. And by 3-ply surgical mask, we're thinking of those blue masks that, if you look at them, have those 3 layers. They are disposable. And proud to say that maintenance and operations throughout the past several months, we've been meeting with vendors and exploring all types of masks. And so we have a stockpile of surgical masks on hand for every single staff member who works on site to have for the remainder of the school year. We have also procured and secured next generation disposable masks that we just distributed last Friday. These are masks that have a sleek design, but also are 3-ply, surgical, and disposable. In a memo that was sent out from M&O to all school administrators, the direction is for a staff member to wear it for 4 hours, discard, and then don a fresh mask. And so we have ample supply of that to provide for any school staff member working on site at any of our facilities. We also have procured and secured a number of KN95s. These are semi-respirator masks, very similar to the N95. They get the number N95, meaning that it traps 95 different types of particulates in the air. And again, they also too meet the 3-ply threshold of masks, and we have ample of those. Some of our staff members, teachers alike, and front office staff, they prefer the KN95. They wrap around your face in a very snug way, and of course, they do meet those thresholds. So maintenance operations has been working very hard and not just exploring and researching what's best for all of our employees, but making sure that we have procured them, that we have secured them, and that we have an ample stockpile to finish up all the way up until June of 2021. And I'm proud to say we have all the masks that we could possibly have for all of our employees. And that's our updates from maintenance operations. Next slide, please, to Dr. Ferris.
All right, thank you, Mr. Rabi'i. I'll just give you a few updates regarding exposure management at our school sites. And so this is a slide that you saw in our last presentation. It's been updated. We have, as we will continue to experience some level of COVID on our campuses. So since our last meeting, we've had 4 cases where somebody has been on a school site. We've had 2 at the middle school. Both were unrelated cases. One was an instructional aide and the other was a food service worker. We had a food service worker at Richmond Street School. Those cases were unrelated. And then we had a student last week. Of course, we took the action to have people isolate, and we did quarantine the class cohorts where those cases existed. To date, we still have had no indication of any transmission. So while we've had cases where people were potentially infectious on our campus, we still have not experienced that spread while on campus. And so, of course, I've left it to be determined on there because we're still monitoring the recent cases, but our expectation and our hope, of course, is that there continues to be no transmission on any of our school sites. We'll go to the next slide, Mr. Gauna. And then again, this is just our cumulative report. And so these numbers include not only the cases where we've had somebody on campus, but all cases that have been brought to our attention. So this includes people who are in a distance learning environment where they're not coming onto campus at all, but they've let us know that there was a positive COVID test in their household. I always add the caveat that these are the ones that are reported to us. So there could be more cases out there, but this is everything that that has been brought to our attention thus far. Next slide, Danny. So some good news is that we have partnered with Valencia Lab, and through Color is the platform, to begin our weekly COVID testing of our staff. So this is surveillance testing for staff, and here's a picture, or here's actually one of the kits. So they're actually on site at each one of our school sites. This Thursday, we intend to have a soft rollout. So we'll have our first trial of the process. A handful of our staff members will self-administer these tests. We'll log them all in, and then we'll package them up for shipment. We're hopeful to have about a 2-day turnaround on those test results. And then moving forward, we'll expand it so that every staff member who is on any of our campuses will be testing on a weekly basis. We are, at this point, are not expanding that to students. That would be something for us to look at in the future. At the moment, the employee testing is at no cost to the district. So this is either picked up by the employee's insurance, and if there's an issue with that, the bill goes straight to the state and is not the burden of the school district. We do not have that same benefit available for students. But again, this is an ever-evolving situation, and there could be a day that comes where we're able to extend this to our students as well. Go to the next slide. Of course, the big thing that's on everybody's mind is when will we be able to get vaccines to our staffs? You've probably seen on the news this week that all of the sites that were administering vaccines, or the majority of them, have stopped they paused on giving new vaccines, and they're reserving all of their existing doses to get those second doses to people who have already taken their vaccine. So we're all waiting to see when the new shipment of vaccines become available. I will tell you that Dr. Moore has been strongly advocating, as have other superintendents with the county, to prioritize educators, and that's everybody who works for the school system, but more specifically, the folks that are already back. So our teachers who are already in classrooms working with kids, I think we can all agree, should get to that front of the line, right? And so I want to make sure that everybody knows that we are pushing for that. It's a regular conversation that's happening with Department of Public Health. We did get a survey from the Los Angeles County Office of Education last week asking us for those numbers. How many people do we actually have on campus right now? And they asked us to project how many we would have March 1st. Our hope is that they're taking those numbers to figure out how they might do some prioritization for us. But again, the biggest issue is the supply, right? There's just not a supply out there. So we are encouraging folks to get vaccinated. We do have a number of people who have qualified to be vaccinated under a different category. And so we do have people who have been vaccinated already working for us. We're also, looking at any local partnerships that we might be able to explore to get vaccines to us more quickly. But to that end, as I've mentioned, everybody's faced with the same dilemma, which is lack of supply. So we'll continue to push on that front. I do want our staff and our teachers to know that that is a priority for us, and we are pushing that lever. And as soon as we have some good news to share, we'll get that out to everybody.
So the recommendations that I'll bring forward to you this evening are specific to third grade and then also fourth and fifth grade. But I do want to mention that it is our intent at the next board meeting on February 23rd to bring a presentation to you regarding return of sixth grade when permissible, as well as an opportunity to bring back seniors in a limited capacity. This is the senior year for those students, and they have yet to step foot on campus just like any other high school students. So we have been working with the high school, and Dr. Gooden and her team, along with the leadership team, have come up with a plan to provide some opportunities for the kids. And what I love about the plan is that students are involved in planning. So that was one of the items that Benny shared with you this evening. So we will be bringing that to the next board meeting. But the recommendation before you this evening is specifically to third grade. Mrs. Janicek, Dr. Monahan, Dr. Lee, and Mr. Oleshik have been working very hard to identify an upcoming date that they feel is achievable safely, and it would be this month in February. We would recommend a Friday orientation that would be coming up, not this Friday. Don't get too excited, not this Friday, but an upcoming Friday orientation for 90 minutes for the students, like we did with our TK through second graders, to acclimate to returning to campus. What are those explicit instructions that are important for the safety of all? And then the third grade students would return the following Tuesday on an AM/PM schedule. And if we were to do it this month, I believe we will be the first school district in the South Bay to achieve this. I do know there's only one other district in the entire county. There are 80 school districts in Los Angeles County, and I believe the only other district that has third grade back at this point in time was Las Virgenes, and they're in the Valley. So anyway, I think this would be an important next step. And then the next recommendation, next slide, thank you, Mr. Gauna, is action item 6C. So we are not yet at 25 to 100,000, but this is a proactive recommendation. I believe it's going to happen. And so I am proactively requesting permission to return our fourth and fifth grade students when we reach that threshold so we can move forward as soon as possible. and not necessarily have to wait for another board meeting and, a couple of weeks go by. So this is likely the best case scenario would be more than likely than not the first week in March. But once again, we'd want to have an orientation for the students on a Friday and then start back that following week. We do think we can bring 4th and 5th graders back safely in both grade levels at the same time. And I defer to our principal and assistant principal for that. And they did feel that was certainly doable. But I do really want to stress here, the only way we can get there is if we collectively continue to slow the rate of COVID-19 in Los Angeles County. So that takes all of us. That is not just a thing the board members do. It's not just a thing the staff does. It's the thing every single member of this community needs to step up and help. And every single member of Los Angeles County needs to step up and help. And that's by wearing your mask, socially distancing, limiting those gatherings, and washing your hands. So let's do this. We can get there, and we can continue to move to bring our students back. And at this point, that's our presentation. We're happy to take any questions from the board.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Moore, Dr. Ferris, and Mr. Rabi'i for that informative and almost up to the date, knowing that there was a call at 3 o'clock today. I'm sure numbers changed from DPH, but we appreciate all that information in one place. Very handy. Board members, does anybody have a question or comment they want to ask at this time? Go ahead, Paulette, if you can unmute yourself.
That was an amazing presentation. Wow, you guys, you do a good job. I mean, it's really terrific. Mr. Ali, you're my favorite. Nice job. Excellent.
Wait a minute, Member Caudell. I thought I was your favorite.
Oh.
There's some competition going on here now, I see. Mr. Wagner, yes.
Okay, got the mute button to work. Thank you. Dr. Moore, I just want to mention to everybody that's watching when we were returning in December, new health orders and travel restrictions came out. And, I asked a tremendous amount of questions about keeping our schools open, the responsiveness of what we were doing in regards to keeping them open. And I know that I also had this discussion with our board president. And I just want to tell the public how responsive it was. And we're seeing that right now is that, when the restrictions came out on the travel, and the commitment to keep our schools open really served us at this point, because I think there was a lot of schools that made decisions to close and they lost that opportunity on those waivers. And I don't think, you kind of glossed over it, but it goes a long way to say is that leadership in keeping our schools open right now is why we're able to do these things currently. And so I just want to applaud that, because, when we were going through it at the time, there was that kind of urgency to close down to help reduce the rates. And so, for our board president and our superintendent, it was some tough decisions for you guys in those discussions that we were having. And so I applaud you guys in keeping the schools open. And I just wanted everybody to understand that those decisions aren't easy to make. And the administration of the district really stepped up and met those kind of answers to the questions we had, and specifically on some of the items now that are going to be really beneficial in us returning back to school. So thank you guys for that. Our board leadership and our superintendent and the administration, your administration, Dr. Moore, because it was very crucial. And I don't know if people are getting that, but, I just wanted to make sure that publicly that was understood, that, it was because of those tough decisions you made at those times that we're able to, potentially do this now and have these kind of discussions for the agenda. So thank you.
Yes, Ms. Wheaton.
So I do want to stress that although we are small, we are mighty. And we realized that when we had all the news coverage in our community. And when we're looking at this presentation, we see all the work that is going into currently securing our school. However, I think it's really important to also look at the fact that we are proactive. So that's why now we are looking to pre-approve the 4th grade and 5th grade, because it says we're not just thinking about right now, but even though things are changing, we're being nimble and being forward thinking so that when opportunities happen, we can capture them immediately. And so I just stress that we want to look at all of those things and just acknowledge job well done.
Great. Anyone else? Comments or questions?
I just wanted to say thank you. This takes a team effort, and my team has been amazing. And I'm very, very grateful. It's never about one person, it's about the whole team. And we got here because of all of them. And I'm just very, very grateful for the support.
Completely agree. Completely agree. We are very blessed, lucky, whatever, skilled at hiring amazing people. I don't know. But in this moment, I couldn't have more confidence in the team that is helping manage us through this crisis. It's astounding. And I guess I'll just add just a couple comments because I did listen to the LA department call today, right before this meeting. And I will say, so Dr. Moore, I think the numbers you have from last week were the case rate of 38. As of today, the case rate in LA was 31.7. So it is indeed increasing at a nice rate. The one thing I do want to mention to our El Segundo community is if you are looking at the reports that the city puts out daily, I think it's daily, more than a few times a week at least, they are amazing information to have. But I do want to mention that our case rate in El Segundo is 23, but we cannot accept ourselves from the LA County number of 25. And I know that's frustrating, and I know our city has expressed over and over the want to be independent in some ways, but you know, we don't live in a bubble. We don't have that nice dome over our city. We have people coming and going, and we are part of LA County, so we are counted in those numbers. So I just wanted to clarify that because the numbers that came out today from El Segundo put us at 23, and that's amazing. And I think keep going, people. I hope to heaven that there weren't crazy Super Bowl parties this weekend that send our numbers in the wrong direction. I really hope not, because we are doing great here in the aim to decrease cases, and let's keep doing that. So, okay, enough on this item for now. Then I thank you all for the great input and questions here. And now we will move into our consent agenda. Tonight we have items A through N. A lot of good homework reading for us on the board ahead of time. Do I have a motion to approve consent agenda items A through N?
I'll move approval of the consent agenda.
Okay, and a second?
Oh, okay.
Okay, Taima will give you that one. The hand was faster than the voice in that moment, so thank you. Okay, is there any discussion needed? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion needed on consent agenda A through N? Okay, let's move forward with voting then. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike, your vote?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. All right, into action items now. The first item on the agenda is our acceptance of gifts, and I will turn that over to our board clerk, Ms. Caudill.
Okay. In accordance with the Board of Education policy number 3290, the Board of Education may accept gifts as long as there is no conflict with the Ed Code or other public laws. The school district has received generous donations from Kruger in the amount of $942.71 to be utilized at the middle school, and from Blackbaud Giving Foundation in the amount of $1,400 to be used at Richmond Street School. These donations do not conflict with any education code or public law regarding acceptance of gifts. And we thank these organizations very much for their generous donations, as money will be well used, and I move approval.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Naima?
Aye.
Paulette,
Aye.
Emily,
Aye.
and I will also vote aye. The motion carries 5-0. Item 6B, approval to return third grade hybrid students to campuses. Dr. Moore, is there anything else you'd like to say at this time?
I just wanted to acknowledge, Member Wagner mentioned, the climate at the time in December, and I do think it's important to note, now that things are looking better and the board paused for that brief amount of time, we have 150 more students actually on campuses now. People are back in force. So I did want to mention that because I think everybody, as their parents, make decisions that they feel are best for their child. And it's great to have more kids back on campus.
Great, thank you. Paulette, do you have a comment or question?
Yeah, when do the public comments get read?
That's going to be related to item 6D, so we'll get there very shortly.
Just
Thank you, though. I appreciate that because I might miss that one of these times. I do appreciate the teamwork here. Okay, any other questions or comments? I suppose I should have taken a motion first, shouldn't I? Yes, I didn't. Let's do that. May I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the return of third grade hybrid students on campus as quickly as we can.
Thank you, Mike. And a second. A second from Daima. Okay, I preceded the discussion time. Is there any further discussion in this moment? All right, let's move ahead with voting. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Paula, sorry, I'm gonna stick in order. Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And I also move aye. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everybody, and we look forward to third grade coming back ASAP. All right, moving to motion C, action item C, approval to return 4th and 5th grade hybrid students on campuses when permissible. Anything further you would like to add at this time?
Nothing further, just enthusiastically recommend.
All right, then I shall ask for a motion. Paulette has moved, and a second from whom would like to give a second? Daima looks like she's ready. Oh, sorry, she's faster on the draw there.
I gotta get the gallery view. I'm not.
You gotta get in the gallery view. It is.
So
okay.
hard.
A motion to second. Any further discussion or questions on this item? All right, seeing none, we'll move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike.
Aye.
And Daima.
Aye.
Paulette.
Aye.
Emily.
Aye.
I will also vote aye. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, everybody. Now we're at item 6D. Now give me a moment to please let me find the 2 public comments we received and make sure I have not muted myself. No, before I start reading. Okay. The first is, Dear Esusd board members, I wanted to write a letter in support of reopening Eagles Nest Preschool for the 2021-2022 school year. In March of 2020, I had an outgoing 4-year-old student, and my 3-year-old had just been accepted to Eagles Nest Preschool before the pandemic started. My now 5-year-old is thriving at Richmond Elementary, and I owe it to how prepared he is and from the love and support he received from his teachers at Eagles Nest. I know that running any school or childcare during a pandemic has many challenges that we never considered before. And as a former member of PTO, I know our community is willing to help in any way possible to make this happen. It is my hope that my younger son will receive the benefits of a play-based preschool program to prepare him for kindergarten, just as my older son has. With kind regards, Tara Diaz. And our second communication on this topic. Dear ESUSD school board members, many families such as our own were left with no backup plan for our children when Eagles Nest made the switch from preschool to daycare model on July 30th with a month to go before school was scheduled to begin. It was disappointing to see other preschools make it work under the state's regulations and guidelines, while Eagles Nest chose to go a different route. While the small number of cohorts would have likely increased monthly fees, that option was not even presented to families whose children had a spot in part-time preschool. Instead, those unable or unwilling to enroll and pay for full-time daycare as a substitute were given no choice but to give up their child's spot. We continue to encourage parents to speak up about Eagles Nest reopening as a preschool versus daycare come fall 2021. In a recent post on the El Segundo Parents Network citing these exact points, 60+ comments were in support of reopening as a preschool versus daycare. The Eagles Nest model has forced families such as our own to explore options outside of our city. We don't want people to resort to leaving El Segundo to educate our children. Our other preschools, even within El Segundo, are able to make it work under the state's requirements to provide families with a preschool experience. Eagles Nest must find a way to do the same. Eagles Nest and its beloved teachers have helped establish the foundation needed for a lifetime of educational success for many El Segundo students and families. Please do your best to continue to provide that service for our children. Thanks, Elizabeth and Tyler Swanson. Okay, so that is our public comments for this topic. So now I'll introduce it for item 6D, approval to reinstate Eagles Nest preschool program for the 2021-2022 school year. Dr. Moore, do you have anything to add at this time? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion for this item.
A motion to approve to reinstate Eagles Nest preschool program for the 2022-21-22 school year.
Thank you, Mike. And a second?
I'll second.
I give Emily that second. Yes, thank you, Emily. You were faster this time. All right, any discussion among the board members for this? No.
And again, I hear the public comments. I hear the parents. I don't think any of us take this lightly, and it's a very hard decision when that went down and what's going on and making sure our staff is safe, our kids are safe, and making sure there's learning happening. You know, it's really hard. And you know, I you know, that word grace in the last year and a half, you know, and for me, you know, March was when most people heard of COVID. You know, we were talking before that and watching and what are we going to do, and you know, it's been a long time. So I hope people understand that, you know, if this was my own business, I could run it different and I would make different choices. But as a public entity being responsible to, you know, just different things, it's different choices that we have to make. And they're hard ones. None of us like this, and we don't take it lightly. The readings and the information and the extra webinars and other things that we're sitting on and doing, it's hard. And there is no one answer that helps everybody right now. And that's the really hard thing. It's so, you know, please everybody understand we're trying our best. We're just really trying our best. But I'm excited for this. I'm excited for all, you know, B, C, and D talking about moving this direction. So this has been a long time in coming.
This is progress. And thank you for making that point about being a public entity, because that does add many levels of complication and accountability to what we are allowed to do and how we can operate that private preschools do not have to contend with. So thank you for that input. Okay, if no further discussion, we will begin voting. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
And Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Item 6E, approval of Eagles Nest preschool tuition fee for the tuition fee schedule for the 2021-22 school year. Dr. Moore, do you want to speak to this?
Yes, I just want to make one correction in the narrative. It does indicate that the fee schedule is for the 21-22 school year, but on the chart, the rates are not correct. It says the 2019-2020 rates, and those are the 2021-22 rates. So I just want to correct that, and we'll make that correction after the meeting too.
Okay.
It's a 3% increase from last year's rates.
Okay, thank you very much. Do I have a motion?
I'll move approval. Or Paulette, and I'll second. You choose. Tracy.
Let's do that. Let's give Paulette the motion and Emily the second on that. So is there discussion or questions on this item at this time?
You know, I do want to say, you know, I hate the thought of increases right now. And I hear everybody, you know, but if I don't know if the public can click on the other slides that we see, but you know, there was a whole comparison to, okay, they don't. So everybody just know, again, more reading and things that we got to look at over the weekend. You know, it was broken up and, you know, looking at compared to Manhattan Beach, Redondo, and
Iceburn.
I was going to say Wiseburn, thank you. Wiseburn. And I just think it's important that people know that we are not even close to the highest of those surrounding districts. So I think it's important that, you know, as our, you know, electric bills, our rates for employees and things go up, that we do need to be fiscally responsible in our prices, but I wouldn't, I watch those. I want people to understand that I watch those. And if we are ever leading in the prices, I will raise a lot of questions, but I looked at that a lot this weekend.
I would like to acknowledge there's one perk that they will get, which will be lower ratio. So there will only be 14 children in a class, and public health has been firm on that as it relates to preschool. So that will be a lower adult to student ratio. So that is beneficial.
Yes, and so with operating within COVID-19 times, we do have lots of cohort issues, staffing issues, you know, PPE and all that, which yes, we do have some federal and state assistance for some of those expenses, but not all of those expenses. So that also had to be factored into this, which again, I'm grateful for all the budget work that our business office and Ms. Gralva and everybody worked on to make this an affordable, comparatively affordable thing that we can offer the community once again. So, okay. If no further discussion, we'll move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Okay, item 6F, approval to participate in USC Trends in Tobacco Use study. Dr. Moore, tell us about that.
Yes, Mr. Abihi, who was our liaison to LACO regarding tobacco use, if he could join me in answering any questions. But specifically, USC reached out to us to participate in this study. It actually has been going on for 1 year, and it started with 9th graders in several high schools in the area. And so they would like to have a larger cohort and feel that students of El Segundo would be beneficial to participate in this study. So our kids will actually join in the 10th grade. So it'll be our 10th grade students, and then cohort next year as 11th graders and cohort into 12th graders. And so, Mr. Abihi, you want to just talk briefly about what the study will curtail?
Sure thing, Dr. Moore. This is a study that the USC Center for Tobacco Use and Prevention is carrying out to see what is happening with our kiddos out there, particularly at the secondary level with the COVID-19 pandemic. You know, obviously they're at home. They may have access to certain substances and other artifacts. And it's really a way to monitor their behavior and to see what's really happening out there. Right, with school closure, we have so many students that are obviously absent. They're not there physically for us to see what's going on, what's happening to them. And this is a way to get information from them, but to also monitor them throughout the next 3 years, starting with 10th grade year, then going into 11th grade year and 12th grade year and so on. And at any point in time, a student or their family can opt to actually excuse themselves from the survey. So it's not mandatory, but it's a great cohort analysis. And we certainly want to partner up with USC in supporting their research so to benefit all students at the secondary level nationwide.
We also had Dr. Gooden involved in the process, and she feels this would be a great fit with the PE department. And they had many perks for students and the department. So that was kind of nice to also reward the kiddos who would be participating.
Okay, thank you for that. I'd like to entertain a motion for this item. Paulette? And a second for this item? Mr. Wagner, thank you so much. Okay, is there any discussion amongst the board?
I just, in my wonderful reading this weekend, I read, and I would just want to clarify, and if I read wrong or understood wrong, but if I read it this way, I hope it's right, that, it's anonymous. And then also, I think it's important that if people want to opt out, that will happen. It's not like we are going to sit every kid down and say, take this test. I think it is really important that parents understand and kids understand that that is an option. While I think this is valuable, I think it is so valuable to get a anonymous real answer and see if we can help in some way and see things, if we just don't ever talk about things, we can't make things better. So, that's why I'm think this is important, and I'm glad that this is on our agenda, but there are those other options, and correct me if I'm wrong. I see head shaking for Molly. Okay, great.
Yes, you're absolutely correct. And I also want to mention that prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, vaping was a topic of real interest in our community. And we had a number of parent info nights on that topic, and we were seeing increases in our students getting involved in vaping, and this will cover that as well, not just traditional cigarette.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We can move into voting now. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
Will also vote aye. The motion carries 5-0. Item 6G, appointment of members to the Measure ES Citizens Bond Oversight Committee for a second term. Dr. Moore.
Yes, in November of 2018, the community passed Measure ES, a $92 million general obligation bond measure. And with that came the establishment of the Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And specifically, we had to put an ad in the paper and solicit applications for this committee. And the committee requires specific types of individuals that are defined in the regulation. So, for example, we have a parent or guardian of a child enrolled in the district, a parent or guardian of a child who is also active in a PTA, parent-teacher organization, a member who's active in a bona fide taxpayer organization, and a member of community at large. And so we recommend, with the continuity of this group, to continue. This is important to note. This is permissible based on the bylaws of this committee that the board adopted. And so we recommend renewal of these folks at this time.
Okay, if I could have a motion to approve.
I'll motion to appointment of the members to the Measure ES Citizens Bond for a second term.
Okay, thank you. And a second. Oh, come on. Someone wants to give a second on this motion. Paulette certainly does. Excellent. Thank you. We have moved. We have a second. You guys are just being too polite now is what's happening, but it's nice. Okay, any discussion on this item? All right, I'll just say thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah, I
what
was
I'm
gonna
gonna
say they've done a good job so far. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, we appreciate all their thoughtful looking over of all kinds of important paperwork and making sure everything is done to the T. So thank you to all of you, and especially wanting to continue your service. But let's make sure we go ahead.
I went to a CSBA training in San Diego. Would be 2 years ago when we were really in the depths of this bond, and they talked about this process, and a lot of districts are raising their hands saying, we can't get this, what do we do? And so I really appreciate these people taking this time, and again, I sit in those meetings, and I just so thankful for El Segundo as a whole that I don't have to ask those questions. So thank you to these members of our community.
Totally agree. Okay, let's move forward with voting. Benjamin, I just went formal on you. Sorry, Benny. Your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And I'll also vote aye. Motion carries. Thank you again to everyone for your second term. All right, item H, approval to extend agreement with Brightview Landscape Services for grounds maintenance. Dr. Moore.
Yes, this would allow us to extend up to 2 more years by mutual agreement with Brightview. I know we had an opportunity to review their service agreement and are very pleased with the results and the cost. It's quite competitive.
Great. If I could have a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve to extend the agreement with Brightview Landscape Services for grounds maintenance.
All right, thank you, Mike. And a second coming from Emily. Thank you. Any discussion or commentary?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, this is, I don't, so people that are watching understand is that how much money this actually saves our district. And the contract, that we're getting is pretty remarkable in the sense of what it would cost to have this done in-house and have those employees, benefits, compensation, equipment, insurance, maintenance on the equipment, and then the actual work being done. So this is a tremendous windfall that we're allowed to do it this way in this district, because I've been part of other districts and ran operations like this where it actually cost much more than this to actually do these and have these kind of services. And our schools are, top notch. I think anybody that comes into our town and our community and sees our facilities is always, they're like our name, they're second to none. And so, I think the recommendation to push forward is really valid at this point.
Okay, any further comments or questions? Yeah, I just want to vouch for Brightview as well, since I was on site for a work day with the Chevron refurbing all of Center Street's inner quad area. And Brightview was very responsive to the request to put in lower flow sprinklers and be mindful of the plants that were being planted that were drought tolerant, so let's not waste water on them. They were super tuned in to what was happening to update that campus and totally on board with, resetting sprinkler needs and maintenance on their part. So I've seen it in action myself a couple years ago. So that was amazing. So, okay, that's all I'll say. And let's move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote?
Aye.
Mike, your vote?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
And I will also vote aye. Motion carries 5-0. Item 6I is approval to enter into agreement with Red Hawk Fencing Incorporated for the Center Street Perimeter Fencing Project. Dr. Moore.
Yes, as part of Measure ES, it was our intent to improve the fencing within the district at Center Street School. We did do requests for proposals and received 5 bids. And Red Hawk Fencing was the party who had the most competitive bids. So we recommend approval.
Okay, if I can have a motion for approval.
Motion for Red Hawk Fencing be approved.
Okay, we have motion and a second from whom? Daima. Yes, thank you. All right, any discussion or questions on this item? No? Okay. I was sitting in on a facilities advisory committee and we had extensive discussion about which fencing group and why and all that. So I will tell you that committee spends a lot of time and effort looking and discussing with all of the bids that come in. So thank you to the committee and Preeti for all of her oversight on all of this stuff. Okay, let's move into voting. Benny, your advisory vote.
Aye.
And Mike?
Aye.
Daima?
Aye.
Paulette?
Aye.
Emily?
Aye.
I will also vote aye. The motion carries 5-0. Okay, thank you for those action items. Now we're going to move into information pending action, which gave us lots of quality reading this weekend. So Dr. Moore, introducing item 7A, consideration of single plan for student achievement. Dr. Moore.
Yes, thank you for all the reading that you did at this meeting. First up is the single plan for student achievement. And I wanted to clarify, when we have information pending action, these items, none of these items are being voted on this evening. We will hear if you have questions, discussions, and I know several of you sent in perhaps some edits or some questions. And those have been provided to Marisa Janicek, who provides oversight on this issue. And we will, take those under consideration and make the appropriate corrections and changes. And so this is required because of the consolidated application that we as a local education agency are required to do. So I believe that's all I have, and are happy for any feedback that the board would like to give publicly at this time, or you could still email me tomorrow, should you have any.
Okay. Anyone have questions they want to ask at this time on these documents? These were 312 pages of reading, if anybody else was counting. And I'll just say, I wish I didn't have that many pages to read at one time. However, it's all such great information, all collected in one place. So if I ever have questions about many details of our campus operations, I can go to that document and find it there, like great detail in depth. So thank you to everybody who works on these documents, school site council, staff, everybody. I recall, and Mike, I know you probably do from your school site council days, that there's a lot of conversation that goes behind these and putting them together. So thank you for everybody doing that.
Yeah, I would just urge everybody that's watching, if you can, take some time and just, even if you just peruse them, or just limit it to where your child goes to school, because the plans are there. They're extremely comprehensive, and in educational language, they do a really good job of aligning curriculum and setting up metrics for our students to succeed. So really good looking so far, and I know that the eyes of our board and everybody involved is going over them and perusing them more, so there's more edits to come. So in regards to those student achievement plans, our schools and their administrations did a really good job just making sure that they were comprehensive for that. So but I would encourage everybody to go and look at them specifically. So.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other comments on that or questions at this time? All right, then. Thank you for all that reading and for accepting input between now and when we see these as action items. All right, we'll move to item 7B, preview comprehensive school safety plans for 2020-2021. Dr. Moore?
Yes, once again, we have our safety plans for you. This is, once again, another requirement that does have to go to the board on an annual basis. We do plan to bring these plans to you in the future at an earlier date, so they both don't come at the same time. So once again, I appreciated the feedback that many of you provided via email, and that feedback has been provided to Dr. Ferris, who will also be speaking with principals as it relates to those issues. So, and then we'll make a few of those fine tunings primarily that needed to be addressed.
Does anybody have questions at this time they want to ask? I might have one, but go ahead, Paulette.
Yeah, Tracy, how many pages were in that set?
278, thank you. Yeah, I counted. I got a calculator right here. All right, any other questions about it? Because I do have something I'll ask, but I can wait. Go ahead, Mike.
I heard that, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I know in one of the discussions we had, and these are time sensitive, correct, in regards to the safety plans. And so I want to make sure that we do what, we're supposed to do in regards to getting them back to you in a timely manner and making sure that they're comprehensive so that we can approve them for, as we move forward into opening the schools. So just to make note of that.
Yeah, so and if I could just respond to that. So there is a requirement from the Department of Education that the board has seen these plans and they've been on the board agenda by March 1st each year. But these are fluid documents. They're documents that can always change and they will continue to change as things change. So yes, we do want you to vote approval at the next meeting, but that doesn't mean that we can't make adjustments to those documents even thereafter if we need to.
Great. That's good answer. Good question, good answer. So yeah, my question I wanted to ask, in case anybody else was looking at the plans, is there a temporary hybrid version? Because I know that not all staff are on campus and can't fulfill the roles they're assigned. So what if in hybrid mode we had to go into, a safety protocol? How do our sites know or sub in people that are actually on campus is the question I wanted to make sure we have an answer to.
So my answer to that is each school has basically an incident commander, right? And so if you look at the infrastructure there, you have kind of a chain of command and people that are occupying certain roles. And then to go more deeply, and we're really talking about emergency response, right? What do you do in an earthquake? What do you do in a fire? What do you do in a chemical spill? And, we've identified that people will serve on these different groups, search and rescue or student accounting or what have you. But the reality is, we all need to know the protocol and we all need to be able to be flexible and nimble in an emergency situation. And so really what happens is the leadership will assign tasks as they need to. I will say without having staff on campus, we haven't had the usual drills and run-throughs that we're accustomed to having. So it is a good discussion point and certainly something I'll bring back to our administrative team to talk about.
Okay. Yeah, the only other question I have related to that was, what do we do with Mr. Olashek being on two plans and not, unless we've cloned him, I don't think he can be on two campuses at one time. So that was part B to that kind of question.
Right.
When we are back,
Yeah.
we still only have one of him.
Yeah, and it's the same response, right? Is that we have to be prepared for, an administrator not being on campus in any situation, right? There are times when principals aren't on campuses because they're away for one reason or another. So not to say that Mr. Oleshik is not indisposable, but we definitely will have to just make those adjustments if that situation arises. Martha is great, and so is Alice. Like they both can handle it. Yeah.
I totally have full confidence in them. I just thought, it's an interesting dilemma of one person, two campuses. So ideally, we never have an emergency where he's needed on any campus, but.
Right. And I will add, and this is not, I don't know if you can see this in the plans, but we are here to support all of them in any emergency. So your district personnel will also be dropping in where we're needed in any type of emergency. And, we are fortunate that everything's walkable here, so even in the biggest emergency where things, you can't drive, in the biggest, we can all get there, right? Like we're it's like a nice network of support here. So I think we're in good shape in that way.
Okay, thank you for that. Any other board comments or questions at this time? Thank you all for your heavy reading, but thank you more importantly, I'm going to say, to all the sites for putting these together. Super thoughtful. Big props to CSS for having their COVID plans attached as well, because again, that is timely and important. So thank you for all of that. And we will move on to our next item then, which would be item C, consideration of revision to board policy on vision. Dr. Moore.
Yes, Board Policy 0000 was last adopted on May 26th of 2015. I did go ahead and post that for public so that they could see what was currently existing and that what we're operating under. It's important to note that board policy is an overarching process by which the district would go through to adopt a vision. The board has technically already done this with the adoption of the graduate profile, the goals for the future, which is a 4-year document that will be guiding our work over the next 4 years. So this is really the process, and policies come before you as they are needed to be updated. So when I looked at this particular policy, the legal reference on the first policy was rather limited. They only talked about school board leadership and vision from 1996. So then when you went to the new edited version, the guidance that came where some of these changes came from were additional publications from the School Boards Association, such as School Board Role in Creating Conditions for Student Achievement, a review of research from 2017, another piece from 2014, and another piece from 2014. So they brought forward new research that they were then recommending these changes for board consideration. These can be slightly customized. So for example, in this particular one, when they referred to comprehensive plans, we went ahead and indicated such as the graduate profile and local control and accountability plan, because those are the plans that we operate from. So the graduate profile being our promise to the community about what our graduates will look like, and then certainly our LCAP, which is done on an annual basis. So I'm happy to take any input at this time. Several of you sent me a few edits and input that way, and I'm happy to still accept those tomorrow if that is helpful to everyone.
Okay, thank you for that very excellent explanation on what those documents are for, especially for the people who are watching, who may not have that awareness. Okay, any comments or discussion at this time? Okay, great. We move on then to item D, which is consideration and revision to board policy on philosophy, VPO 100. Would you like to talk about that? Dr.
Yeah, once again, this is also based on limited CSBA publications from 1996. So once again, they used more research that they had obtained through 2014, 2017, and we're trying to bring recency to the document. So once again, if there's anything that the board would like to consider, I'm happy to take your input and take a look at it and see, you know, do we have similarities? Do we have any changes? I know happy to, this is not time sensitive, so we do have some time on that. If there are any areas that you would like fine-tuned or more personalized to ESUSD.
Okay, thank you. Any comments or questions at this time? No? All right, thank you for good explanation once again. And last but not least, let's look at item 7E, consideration of revision to board policy on relations between other governmental agencies and the schools, which is board policy 1400.
Once again, this was adopted this time in June 23rd of 2015. So we've been operating under this document, and of course we've had a long-standing tradition of cooperation with the city of El Segundo. And so this is just the recommended update from CSBA. And if there are any issues, concerns, once again, I'm happy to take your feedback.
Okay, any feedback for tonight? All right, thank you, everyone. Let's move into report time. We'll go to the informational calendar.
Yes, on informational calendar for this month. Tomorrow, for any of our middle school parents, I really want to focus on the middle school report card parent meeting. So that's via Zoom for the middle school. We really encourage your participation. Monday, the 15th, is a holiday, no school for students and no school for staff. The 16th, the high school will be kicking off their prospective student program. So that's really targeted primarily for 8th graders, but certainly any other family that is interested in considering the high school. Dr. Gooden and her team have a program planned. And then we have various PTA meetings. And then just as a reminder, we have our special board budget study session on the 24th. So that'll be important. And Dr. Plotkin is working on a parent education night sponsored by our PTA featuring Dr. Gelbert. And more information will be following regarding that parent flyer that'll be coming out on that program.
Okay, thank you very much for that. It does freak me out a little bit that I need to attend that parent night for another incoming high schooler. My goodness, these kids are aging quickly, which says I must be as well. Okay, item 8B is the financial statements from the high school ASB, posted as always for your review and full transparency. Item 9, board members report time. So without further ado, Mike, would you like to go first?
Sure, thank you. First, I just want to say thank you to you and Dr. Moore and your administration here at the district. I am sitting in our boardroom, so I don't know if you can, oh, hold on, let me see. I'm sitting here, and I know, and I can't speak for all our board members, but I can just tell you this. I know the discussions we've had and getting back to school, and I'm really happy to be able to be here and represent the district and be here at the district at our boardroom. And so I can't wait for all of us to get back and be able to do it. And if somebody else wants to take a turn and do it here, you know, I won't come. But I really enjoyed being here tonight and in the atmosphere and being able to serve the community. And you know, as we move back into school, you know, it's a great opportunity for us to get back to. So thank you for allowing me to do that. I know the guidelines are kind of, you know, wishy-washy that and it kind of prohibit us from all being together in that format. And I'm just glad I was able to have permission to do it. So thank you guys for that. I'd like to thank Dr. Moore for you know, facilitating it too with Ms. Janicek and Dr. Ruby, or Mr. Ruby and Dr. Ferris. They were here to help me facilitate that. In fact, in the middle of the meeting, the computer almost died, and Mr. Ruby, he came and gave me a charger. So he, you know, superhero over there. So thank you for that. And I just want to say thank you to and let the public know again, you know, we are asking some very difficult questions. I know board member Wheaton and I are having meetings, and the questions she's posing are amazing, and we are asking some very difficult questions to the superintendent and to the administration of the of the district. And the amount of information that we are getting is just remarkable, and the comprehensive nature of how it returns to us after these inquiries is been amazing. And so I'd like to everybody to understand that these difficult questions are being asked, and there is thoughtful process in how we are coming to conclusions in making these decisions, and sometimes they're not easy. And I know board member Lane has said it, you know, we're asking for your patience, and that's from all our stakeholders. And I know that there's competing interests, but I think we're in a really good place to return to school safely for our staff, for our teachers. And I'm just really glad that our district held firm, and that we are on the trajectory of getting our kids back into school. And I just want to say thank you to the board and all the work that you've done, because I know how much I did in reading all the documents that we got. And I didn't expect to read a novel like we did, but it's great information. And again, I just encourage everyone out there in the public to get on the board agenda, click the documents, peruse them, look over them. If something catches your eye, ask a question. You know, it's important that you guys understand that you know, you have a great, hardworking district for your children. And so thank you for all your work. Nothing to report on the high school because their meeting's coming up, but I know the high school board for the PTA is going to be meeting this month, and I know they're looking to get those students back as quickly as they can and help that kind of programming out. I'm sure of it. And then in regards to SCROC, I just want to say thank you for appointing me to that, and we're continuing to have those board meetings. And just a really good indicator of the representation El Segundo has generally in the South Bay. Our former board member, Nancy Cobb, and if she's out there, she hears, has applied to be on the SCROC board as a member at large in an administrative position to help on that leadership. And she has been so well received, and she represents our community here in El Segundo. And it's just been a great experience with SCROC and having that opportunity to be a part of it with Nancy, and her experience is invaluable to them. And you know what she has been able to establish with SCROC and how it helps our students here at our school is just amazing. And so I just wanted to thank her for her commitment to that and applying for that position, because it means I got a little backup over there too, and somebody I can go to meetings with. So appreciate it, and just wanted to let everybody know what an amazing job she's doing in that capacity. So that's it for me. Thank you guys very much again for everything.
Great. Thank you, Mike. Thanks for all your time and effort there. Greatly appreciated. Now, Daima, would you like to share with us?
Excellent. Thank you very much. So I want to give a few updates. The first one is for the health and safety and operations. I had the pleasure of sitting in for Paulette. Just want to say that they essentially and that was on January 28th, so everything's going to be a bit delayed, but I'm still giving the update on this. At that time, we reviewed the TK through second grade reopening. They talked about the additional training for the cleaning crew on the atomizers and the sanitizing equipment. So that was really important that they were revisiting that. Also, improved training on the health screening protocols. And you can, just going back to the update from today, you can see all the work that is going into that. Want to give you one quick announcement that is time sensitive. That is the Center Street School and the Richmond Street School. Their Valentine's Day orders in today. So please, if you want one, jump online today. You have to go to Richmond's PTA's site and you can order them, but today is the absolute last day. So just want to let you know that's time sensitive. I did not have a Center Street School PTA meeting nor the El Segundo Council meeting because those are coming up. So please mark your calendar. For CSS, that is February 17th. And for the PTA Council, that is February 22nd. So I will have updates at the next meeting. And that is it for me. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Daima. And Paulette, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I didn't have any meetings to attend either, but I wanted to, and I'm going to, so I don't miss any words, I would like to commend the district for enrolling us in the Trends in Tobacco Use Survey out of SC. I'm really hoping that we'll get a lot of information, and, you know, my love is Road Committee, Reach Out Against Drugs, and I can't wait to receive some of this information and get a chance to look at it and to, in other words, to assist us in providing a better product or, you know, promoting no use of tobacco in youth. So I'm really excited about that. And I thought I read somewhere that the study was going to be finding out why kids use and why kids don't use, which I think was going to be, you know, I haven't seen a study like that in all the years I've been doing this. Why do they use and why they don't use? And then that way that'll inform our education to parents. So I'm really excited that we did that, because I can remember the day when El Segundo didn't think we needed anything like this. We've come a long way. Congratulations, Dr. Moore.
Okay, thank you, Paulette. Emily, your turn.
I really don't have much. I think I spoke a lot during the meeting, so I'll keep it brief. I just, you know, the one thing, you know, I live right on Virginia, so I see kids coming, you know, home from school all the time. And today, as I was going out the driveway, there's a little, you know, little kid, and then I asked him, like, hey, you coming back from school? And he turned and looked at me like, who are you? And I said, what's your name? He said, Noah. And then I said, you coming from school? He looked at me, didn't really want to talk. And then I said, so do you like going to school or do you like school at home better? And then he turned and looked at me and he said, I like school. I like going to school. So I just, I know these are hard times, and for our teachers, I just hope they know the difference that they're making in these kids. It was, he didn't want to talk to me until he was excited to talk about going to school. So, that's really, in these hard times, those little glimmers, and that's what we hold on to, and that's why we're here. So, thank you to our administrators, our teachers, our custodians, our lunch people. There's just a lot still going on. So thank you, and I saw the difference in Noah today. So thank you.
Great. Thank you, Emily. Yeah, I definitely am excited to see the kids coming and going to school, and there's a little skip in their step, and it's amazing to see that. So it is really wonderful. Okay, I'll try to make this quick. I did have a bunch of meetings I wanted to at least mention. So yes, this morning I participated in the Ed Foundation board meeting, and I am thankful for their continued work in trying to gather support for a generous grant in less traditional ways than what they've done in the past. And speaking of things they used to do a lot of was restaurant nights and things like that. And we do have Ike's tonight opening that was giving all proceeds to the Ed Foundation between, I think, 5 and 8 p.m. And I'm hoping that when I leave this desk, there is a sandwich waiting for me out here, because I requested that my boys and husband go do that since I'm not cooking dinner tonight. So I hope there's something I can enjoy and benefit our Ed Foundation at the same time. So we'll see. We had great conversation last week in the city school subcommittee talking about how we can continue to complement and partner with each other regarding COVID efforts, and also talking about traffic flow, which someday will be an issue again around our schools. So that was good conversation that we continue to have. It was fun to sit in on the Biomed Pathway special lecture by the UCLA team of anesthesiologists. I want to thank Ms. Masonette and everyone at the high school involved with bringing that to our students, because I want to say there was like 68 students on that call, and that's amazing. It was after school, it was bonus school time, and they were on it and engaged, asking wonderful questions. So we are lucky to have that program here and students that are that excited to go out and learn these things and do good, essential work really in the world when they can matriculate up to that. So thank you for everyone that put that together and for letting me, drop in. From my seat on the Facility Advisory Committee, I'm just continually impressed with the number of projects we have going and the level of detail that we talk about in that committee on all of them. It's amazing. I'm grateful that they're all happening, and some even faster right now because we're not on campus as much as we normally would be. Thanks again to Preeti and her team and everyone for keeping things moving forward efficiently. And someday we will all be back in order to enjoy all that lovely work. But again, I think the most exciting news that we've talked about a lot is having our students coming back to school, and my gratitude is deep for our amazing teachers and staff who are working so hard to provide those in-person services. And as you saw and as you heard even tonight, it's ever evolving, but people are making it happen, and I really appreciate that hard work. And I know at times it's unsettling. I want to say to the teachers and staff that have to react when we do have a case on campus, even though I hope it's rare. I know we have safety protocols that work. We've seen it for months and months now, but my empathy is with you when you have to react on a dime and need to do what you have to do to reconfigure how you teach or how you deal with your children in a day and all of that. It's hard, but I think it is well worth the effort of trying to be in person as much as we can. So thank you to everybody that has to react quickly on those moments. And I think lastly, I just want to mention that just today, 6 South Bay School Board presidents, myself included, sent a letter to Supervisor Hahn, as well as Drs. Ferrer and Gilcheck, to request prioritization of our in-person staff for getting access to vaccinations. Because, we've heard supply is continually an issue here for LA County, but we think our first line, our essential workers, our first line people that are out there should be prioritized. Should they wish to have a vaccination, they should have access to that to provide service and have that protection if they so choose. So for what it's worth, we put a letter together to send out in mass, and we'll see, if it makes any difference. That's it for now. This was long enough. I will say, have a great rest of the week, everyone. Our numbers are going in the right direction. Please, let's keep it going in the right direction. So continue to follow those orders and stay healthy and safe. Okay, Dr. Moore, your turn.
Great. I would just like to close with thanking the board for your commitment. On behalf of students, you all were extremely diligent in your preparation for this meeting this evening. I apologize for the volume of information, but it's good work, and you're doing good work. And I just want to say thank you for your thoughtfulness, your deliberation, your questions, and we're taking it step by step. We're staying the course, and we'll get there. We'll get there. But once again, it's going to take all of us, and let's all follow those protocols. So thank you for a wonderful meeting this evening. Very productive, excellent meeting. Congratulations.
Okay. And with that, we do not have oral communication from the audience in this format, nor are we going to close section. So I think I can say we can adjourn at 7 p.m. Thank you, everyone, for your 2 hours of service here.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.